Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Veissrugr deck profile. Big thanks to my buddy Anthony for letting me borrow his Moongate Veissrugr deck for the video. It's a really awesome deck that focuses on setting up the trials of the moon using the different Veissrugrs that we use in the deck, and we'll definitely be getting more in the upcoming set for them as well. But the big one being the focus on the multiple copies of Veissrugr that we can use in the deck to not only thin out the deck, but set up the different attack pressures that we can do with these cards provided with the 16 copies that we can run up to one deck, along with our go-to boss monster, the Keeper of the Moongate Veissrugr. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off with the ride deck, we have our energy generator with our starter being Envoy of the Moon, Repsold. When wrote upon, if you outstang it, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Follower of the Moon, Fresno. When this unit is placed by riding from Envoy of the Moon, Repsold, reveal a grade 3 card with Veissrugr from your ride deck. Search your deck or hand for up to one Moongate, put into your order zone. If you search your deck, shuffle the deck. If you put a card from the hand, draw a card, making up at least if it is in your hand, with the main go-to order that we run for our setup being Moongate, which we'll go over in just a bit. The grade 2 is Vassal of the Moon, Romstead. When this unit is placed by riding from Follower of the Moon, Fresno, look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose up to 2 cards with Mystic from their card names from among them. Reveal them. Choose up to 1 from among them. Reveal it. Put in the hand. Put the rest of the revealed cards in the order zone and shuffle the deck. So this will set up the different Mystics that we run in the deck with the variety of the 2 that we have available now. And then our grade 3 is Keeper of the Moongate, Veissrugr, which we'll go over in just a bit because we are running additional copies in the deck along with the one in the ride deck. The order mentioned before is the Moongate. You may only have one Moongate in a deck from the order zone. You can Energy Blast 3, rest this card. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 unit with Mystic in its card name and grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from among them. Call it to rear guard and shuffle your deck. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Veissrugr in its card name, instead of choosing up to 1 card and calling it to rear, choose up to 3 from among them, call 1 to rear, and then put the rest of the chosen cards in the order zone and shuffle the deck. So just the added setup in deck thinning that you can do with your set order that you run in the deck being the Moongate trial that you're meant to do. For the grade 3s, we're running 3 additional copies of Keeper of the Moongate Veissrugr. On the Vanguard circle, once per turn, you can Soul Blast 2, choose a Moongate from your order zone, choose one of its original act abilities and activate it without paying its cost. And on Vanguard, when this unit attacks, counter blast 1, choose up to 2 unit cards with Mystic from their card names from your order zone, call each of them to a rear guard in the same column, and all your front row get +5. So this gives you the multiple attack option with the different Mystics that we run. And when your unit with Mythics, or how you pronounce it, very tongue twister pronunciation, its card name is put on the guard circle, put a card with Mystic and its card name from your drop on the bottom of the deck, and it gets +5 to the end of that battle. Just having that continuous option for the added defense for your Mystic cards as well to set up in the deck. Some of the different ones is the first Mystic Wolfzan Rosnir. For this, running 4 copies as well. When this unit is placed on rearguard, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Veissrugr in its card name until the end of the turn, when this unit will attack, choose one of your opponent's front row rearguards and battle your opponent's Vanguard and all of the chosen rearguards as well. Having a multiple attack rearguard pressure can help to take out some additional rearguards while still putting the pressure on your opponent's Vanguard as well, thanks to this card. And when this unit attacks, if your aura zone has a Moongate, this unit gets +5 to end of turn, and Counter Blast or Energy Blast 3 and draw a card. So the added use of our Energy Blast, if we don't want to waste the Counter Blast, thanks to this card, definitely does help for that initial setup. And for the next grade 2, we are running 16 copies of the Crow Ring Mystic Veissrugr. So this card specifies that you may have up to 16 copies of this card in the deck. So we are having the full majority of cards to run in the deck. And if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Veissrugr and its card name, it gets boost. So being able to have this card called in the same column really doesn't affect it with the Moongate, because then you could just have the additional one provide boost to the other unit. And then the added pressure for what you can power it up with your Vanguard just makes this very consistent with the Moongate setup to give you more and more of this card set up in your order zone while also thinning out the deck to do so. And then as for the grade 1s, we are running 4 copies of Heroic Deeds Draco Kid. During the battle that this unit boosted, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Veissrugr and its card name, this unit gets plus 5,000. And on the rear guard, when this unit boosts to grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Veissrugr and its card name, this unit gets plus 2 until the end of that battle. Soul Blast 1, put this card, a card with Mystic and its card name from the drop on the bottom of the deck, and Energy Charge 3. So it just helps you to provide more of an energy charge ability with this card, making use of that and the recycle power for the use of just a Soul Blast in the deck as well, which the main majority we use the Soul Blast for are for the Veissrugr setup with our main go-to card as well. So if you want to try Bauble Mine, you can always swap it out for this card in the deck as well. We also have the 4 copies of Strong Arms Conversion Strogomars, just for the lack of other units that we have in the decks, because we have 16 copies of Crow Ring Mystic Veissrugr. We have to focus on lower numbers for everything else, but it all works out just for the consistency that we do with the Moon Gate setup. So the 4 Sentinels, and for the orders, we're running 2 copies of A-Lift Golmani. You play this card with a Counterblast 1. Choose one of your grade 3 or greater Vanguards with Veissrugr and its card name, and it gets on the Vanguard. All of your rear guards with Mystic and its card name get plus 5,000, and all of your rear guards with Mystic and their card name placed by your card's ability this turn get plus 5,000 until end of turn. So you just have added pressure for the additional plus 5, and then the additional plus 5 on top of the ability call to power up more and more, especially when you call out your Veissrugr cards, with the Veissrugr card as the 1 Mystic to call out. You'll have that additional pressure thanks to this order to use with that Counterblast, but we're running lower numbers. If you wanted to try running more, you could always drop down the number of Crow Ring for additional copies of this order. But that is basically player preference at that point as well for how many you want to use of this card. And then for the trigger lineup, we're running the 8 critical, so 4 copies of Blitz Pilot Yagd, and then the 4 copies of the new Lightning Elemental Pachiri, just because it's the more readily available trigger for the deck as well. If you have the ability triggers, you can always put them in for this final spot. And the next trigger spot being the 3 draw triggers, just because we're going for more consistency. These might change to fronts in the upcoming set 8, just with the more guard restriction mystics that we would get in that set as well to be able to use, with the last of them being just the generic heals. Sticking with the generics just so we have a better guard option to use on top of the plus 5 that our Moon Gate can provide to our units to call out, and then the added plus 5 shield for the defensive power of Moon Gate Veissrugr to use with it as well. And then our over trigger being the Eldo Breath, just the best for pressure options in any of the Brant Gate decks to be able to use. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Once again, big thanks to my buddy Anthony for letting me borrow the deck for the video. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.